I just think there's so much confusion about like Christ and originally what he came to do. You know, he came back and he came to all the churches and he was disgusted. I mean, if you read the New Testament, it begins more or less with Jesus being disgusted at the state of the church and where it had come to and what it had evolved to, because it had everything to do with money and, you know, more or less like political aspects than it did with anything about just believing in God and wanting to, you know God, or, you know, reach out and you know, in some way try to find God. It became more of a suit and tie, money type of thing, and you know, that's what we started to realize. I mean, I just think that, and like with, you know, like putting out our music and like Liberate, I think that one of the funny things is people talk about like, you know, oh, you know, there's like, you know, you're dealing with subjects of like rape and murder and suicide and things like that, but what is the Bible about? You know what I mean? Like, if you look back in it, there is, you know, the Bible is not a bright, shiny book of happiness by any means. It's a real life, dark, you know, it gets into people's like, you know, personalities and everything. From, you have a man named David who wrote the Psalms, you know, which, you know, are, you know, sung in churches across the world, and he's also the man that had a woman's husband killed because he wanted to sleep with her. And you know, it talks about, you know, David was a man after God's own heart. And to me, I started realizing that, you know, the pursuit of God is not perfection necessarily. It's the pursuit of God, and it's someone trying to reach out and become closer, you know, what they feel is their beginning and their, you know, what they are made of, and, you know, understanding spirituality. But it's become more of a, you know, show up to church every week, have a nice suit, have a nice haircut, if you have tattoos, whatever. It just makes me sick. You know, Jesus, you know, when he was here, he hung out with, you know, biblically in the New Testament, you know, the tax collectors were pretty much at the time, or had about the same social status as a garbage man. And, you know, the people, the fishermen and things like that, these were at the time, the technical blue collar, you know, workers of society, and everything from, you know, hookers. And, you know, like, you know, Christ came back, the church was in, you know, ruins. He had nothing but bad things to say about where the church was at. He embraced the lowest forms of society, everything from the hookers to the garbage men, you know, to people that'd be like, you know, I guess, you know, nowadays like fast food employees. That's pretty much who the apostles were. And now these days, the people that are like that are the people that are kicked out and shunned from the church. And those are the people that, you know, they don't like the way they look, and they don't like the way they act, and they don't like the music they listen to. But if we look back and learn, those are the people that, you know, in the New Testament, Christ embraced and hung out with. And now, in, you know, the year, you know, 2000 or whatever, those are the people that are being kicked out of the churches on a daily basis because they won't clean up and buy a suit. And it's just like, you know, it's almost like if there was a New Testament, Christ would come back and he would tell the churches that today that have been established that they're doing the same exact thing that the churches were doing in the New Testament that he hated. And, you know, it just makes me sick because, once again, we've completely lost view of everything important. You know, people say, like, you know, you learn from your mistakes and history repeats itself. History does repeat itself. The Bible is repeating itself because we are in the same place that we were when the New Testament was written, in my opinion. We are in a place where, you know, politically and monetarily, those people are respected and looked at as, you know, perfect Christians, and the people that are, what, you know, that maybe have tattoos or piercings, that probably love God way more and have way